This is a very special episode for me because I'm actually interviewing my mom. So, my mom is my biggest supporter of my business. Everything I do, I run by her, and she gives me the best feedback. And she is also a podcaster because, of course, if you're going to have a podcast producer as a daughter, she's going to bully you into starting your own podcast. So, yep, I did bully my mom into starting a podcast, which I think is so cool. I'm so proud of her. So, this episode is where I am interviewing her, Diane Hayhurst. She is in Las Vegas, that's where I grew up, but she came for my Podcasters Northwest events, which, if you haven't heard about those are my podcast networking events for people in the Pacific Northwest, specifically Seattle. She came and did the check in and helped calm me down because, events are hard, and it means a lot to me that she was able to fly up and spend the time. And honestly, I think people liked her the most. I think she was the star of the show. People were like, "Oh my gosh, your mom is so sweet." And I was like, "I know, she is the best." So I feel very blessed to not only have her as my mom, but also have her as someone to talk business with. She's very smart when it comes to business things. So I can't wait for you to meet her. This episode, it's kind of funny. We were both a little awkward in the beginning, but hey, it's fun. So please enjoy this episode with me and my mom. Welcome to the Podcast Cafe, where we're serving up everything you need to know about podcasting, from tips, stories, and strategies for podcasters from podcasters. I'm your host, Haley Hayhurst, the founder of Espresso Podcast Production, a full-service podcast agency helping business owners, creatives, and thought leaders launch and grow their shows. Whether you're just starting out or want to take your podcast to the next level, this is the place for you. Each week, we'll dive into practical tips, actionable strategies, and of course, stories from other podcasters so that you can build up a podcast that you love and that works for your business. So, grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's get started. Welcome to the Podcast Cafe. Hey, before we get started, are you tired of Googling, how do I grow my podcast? Or asking ChatGPT, what tool do I use for this? How do I edit this? Or how do I get more listeners? I've helped launch and grow over 300 podcasts, and here's what I know. You don't have to figure this all out alone. The Podcast Cafe community is a curated group of podcasters, just podcasters, where I bring in real experts to teach the stuff that actually grows a show, like the exact episode types that you need, or how to actually rank in the charts, and questions that everyone has, like, how do I monetize? Plus, you get access to a room of people who just get it. And not just get it, but have done it before. This room is going to be all different types of podcasters at all different levels, and I can't wait to see you in there. It's just $47 a month, and since it's curated, you'll need to apply. I review them in order, so the sooner you apply, the sooner you're in. Link is in the show notes, and I'll see you inside. And now let's get to the episode. Hi, Mom!
Hi.
Welcome to Podcast Cafe.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
So, the question I ask all of my guests on Podcast Cafe, which you're not going to have an answer to, is what is your go-to coffee order?
That is a really tough one, Haley, because I love the smell of coffee, but I don't like the taste of coffee. I love apple cider, like a hot apple cider. I love a strawberry icy refresher.
From Starbucks?
From Starbucks.
Okay.
Yes. But if you want to talk coffee, I really love it in tiramisu.
So we're talking all about podcasting, which you were a podcast listener before. Well, I guess I don't actually know the answer to this. Did you listen to podcasts before I started my first podcast?
I don't think I really listened to podcasts, but I've listened to talk radio for many, many years, and a lot of people that I listen to now have podcasts and no longer have talk radio, so I do listen to them now.
Podcasting is just talk radio, right? But pre-recorded, and maybe that makes it easier sometimes it makes people overthink now and do much more editing that's probably needed. But sometimes editing is needed. So,
Right. Unfortunately, editing is needed.
yeah, I agree. But so I made you start a podcast because you work for the family business, and you and Aunt Julie are the hosts of this, since you two are the people working at this business. So tell us a little bit about promoting and protecting naturopathy.
Right. So I think we're in year 3 of...
Almost 50 episodes.
We do 1 episode a month because that is all the time that we have to do.
I try to get them to do more, and they would not do more.
We're a small team, and yeah. So Promoting and Protecting Naturopathy, an ANMA podcast, was my grandchild from Haley.
Yes, yes.
She created this, and we wanted a way to promote our members. We have amazing natural health members, naturopaths, that have amazing businesses and products that they've generated or created or promote, services that they have. And we just wanted to find a way to spotlight them and do a podcast about that. We talk about any current events that are going on, and just another way to connect with our members.
Yeah, because the beginning of it is almost like a newsletter talking about the convention that you guys have coming up and any legislative laws that are changing or people need to know about. And then it goes into an interview. And I feel like whenever I go to the convention and tell people, like, I'm the one that edits it, they're like, oh my God, I want to be on. So I feel like they like it.
They like it. They like hearing about people, people that are like them, and it motivates them. Hey, if so-and-so in Ohio can do this, I can do this over in my state.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Do you have fun with it?
I do have fun with it. The fun part is selecting the best guest. Considering that we only have 12 guests a year, we need to make them very effective and meaningful.
Yeah, yeah. So, because one of the things that we did maybe a year into hosting the podcast was taking the clips of what people said about the convention and putting them on the webpage as testimonials.
And we also use that for social media posts now, too.
Yeah. Do you think that's helped?
I think it has. One of the comments that my co-host, Julie, said during one of the interviews, we put that into a clip and just over a picture of the convention on social media. It got the most views than we've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could, we record video, but we only post the audio.
Right.
But I cut clips and then we post those clips, usually of just the guest, and they get excited to share them, but it's always sometimes hard to get guests to share. But I think since they're part of ANMA, like they're a member and they're part of all the different associations, like they have more of a buy-in than like people being on this podcast, where sometimes this is like the first time that they meet me.
One of our guests which was the month ago or 2 months ago, has a very big following, and they actually shared it several times. So it was shared, and the views on that were just, people now knew who ANMA is.
Yeah, because it's just like, they think it's cool and they're a
Right.
part of it, and it's just like, oh, I'm part of this association. Another thing that I saw at the convention was one of the guests printed out a postcard and put it on her booth, and it said like the episode she was featured on, and it had a QR code so people could scan it, which I thought was so cool, because then it's just like an extra bonus of like,
Right.
I've been on this podcast and now I'm at the convention, and like all
Right.
these different things.
Right. It's just a way of promoting. And it's funny, people say, I've never heard of you. We've been around for 45 years. It wasn't till a few years ago that we really started using social media. And then again, 3 years ago, we started doing the podcast.
I can't believe it's been 3 years.
I know. 3 years of editing. because we do it early in the morning, and sometimes we can't talk.
Sometimes, but
Or we change our mind.
yes.
Or because there's two hosts, sometimes we contradict each other.
Sometimes there's some death glares, and like the video's not posted, so no one sees it but me. But I always send a screenshot of it to Hannah, my sister, and we're like, the girls are fighting.
It just.
But it's funny. It's funny.
It's funny. It's just different opinions.
Yeah.
Different approaches.
Yeah, I think different approaches is a good way to say it.
Yeah.
You guys are the one client I can't fire.
Right. And we can't fire you.
You can't. So.
But you do an amazing job, Haley. And as your mom, I got to say, I'm very proud. Your services that you have provided for our podcast are just above and beyond. Mm-hmm. But as a mom, I'm really proud of what you can do to help people generate the idea to a podcast.
Wow, thank you. It's very fun. I always like it when people come to me and like have an idea and then I get to tell them like, oh my gosh, you're a podcaster. I think that's the most fun part when I send them the links or their logo or something, because then it feels real for them.
We had someone call the office, and we actually answered
the story.
We actually answer the phone. It's a phone that we have, and someone's on the other end that we provide that type of service. And they said, "Is this Diane from the podcast?" And I was like, "Yes, it's me. I'd recognize that voice," she said, and it was just kind of funny.
Did you feel like a celebrity?
For a split second, and then
you're like, "Ooh, I've been spotted. Celebrity spotting."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
That's funny.
Okay, so now as a podcast listener, you went to my Podcasters Northwest event. She was the star of the show. If you were there, she was checking everyone in, and everyone was walking up to me like, I love your mom. And I was like, she's really, like, she's the star of the show, which I think is so cute.
That is such a lie. Haley was the star of the show. Right. Carla Marie and Anthony were the star of the show also. Mm-hmm. So they were the real stars. I was just the greeter. She gave me a job, unpaid.
My unpaid employee. Mm-hmm. Yes. But you met a lot of podcasters, and you listen to podcasts, but you say that, it's hard for you to find podcasts sometimes to listen to because you don't, like, you like good hangs, but you also like to listen to, like, smaller podcasts. And maybe that's just because I have, like, a more niche, smaller podcast, and you like to support small, I don't know.
No, that's it. It's I think I checked out Good Hang because it had won an award
Golden Globe.
Right, for podcasting, and I said, hey, let's check it out. So if I knew the actor or the performer that they had on, I would enjoy listening to that. That is a really good one. But I do like smaller ones, like How Things Work is one of the things, or Interesting Things is another one that I like. And then I also get into, if I'm searching, Consumer Reports is another one.
Oh, gosh.
Some good
what
ones.
Do you listen to on Consumer Report? They have a podcast?
They have a podcast.
And they talk about
products.
Wow.
Yeah, like I was researching hybrid versus electric cars. Yeah. And I didn't know where to go, and I was like, there's got to be a podcast on this. So sure enough, there was a podcast, and Consumer Reports was it, and it was very Consumer Report-ish.
Was it interesting?
It was dry.
Yeah.
It was very dry.
I would assume. You also listened to one that was like for nurses or something. Didn't you find one? Because my sister is on the job hunt for nursing.
Yes.
Jobs. So you said that you found a podcast that was like for new grad nurses?
Yeah. And again, it was just searching.
Yeah.
Some people search Google, some people search TikTok or social media, and I said, well, why can't I search podcasts? Yeah. And that was a good one.
I did that a lot when I was training for my marathon. I was like, why am I so bad at running? Like, this is insane.
Right.
And so I was looking up running podcasts, and there's a ton. But it was helpful when I could find other beginner runners or, like, professional runners that would talk to beginners. And it was like, yeah, so I used it as a search engine, too.
I want to listen to someone that has the education to back it or the experience. I'm just not going to listen to a rambling person.
No.
So
Like, you're not going to listen to, like, probably a comedy podcast or, like, a lifestyle podcast or something like that. Like, a lot of reality TV stars create podcasts. Like, that's not what you're interested in.
No. I want to get something out of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope people get out of ours.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I think even like you said, just someone else going through, you know, or like the education part of it.
Right. Right.
People that listen to their show get to learn about new like modalities or sometimes. And what's cool about that, why I think more membership associations need podcasts, is because you do have a time for them to all come meet. Right? And so then if they listen to the podcast, they're like, wow, I really like this person's podcast. They can email them, blah, blah, blah. But like they know once a year they're going to see them.
Right, at our annual convention.
Right. So it's not like one day, hopefully, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I will meet this person in August. So I think that's just a cool part of it too. Okay, back to podcast listening. Which one of my two podcasts do you like more?
Well, I really love the Employee to Boss because it kind of is a momentum of you start off by saying, they say, I worked in corporate, I didn't like it, but I had a side gig and it wasn't going anywhere. I knew it needed more time. I quit my corporate job, took my skills that I had there, applied it into my business, and now this is what I do. And I think that's really cool to hear. It's really motivational, really supportive to people that may not know how to do that.
Yeah, because usually they're just trying to tell their story. They're not selling things.
Right.
Which I think that is like you're not a person that would buy a service probably from listening to a podcast.
Right.
So like you are listening for the story, right? And that probably makes you realize like what a good guest is versus a not so good guest.
Right, right.
So like what do you like? And okay, let's answer that first. And I have a question about going from like podcast listener to host.
Okay. Well, your other podcast, can I answer that one? Podcast Cafe.
This one.
Yes. I like it because you have established podcasters on here. And you have people that can tell their story through that. And you're also giving tips for people that are very valuable.
Yeah.
You know, you're telling them, don't waste your time doing this, do this. Here's 5 steps you can do right now today to get closer to your podcast. Don't wait for you to start your podcast. So those are very motivational, and I think those are good.
So since you're not a person that would necessarily buy from a podcast, like on Employee to Boss, I have a lot of service providers or coaches or whatever on there, or products. Like you're not going to buy from them, so you're listening for the story. So that probably makes you realize like what's a good podcast host and what's not. Like some people go in there just trying to sell. I edit it out, guys. I'm not even gonna lie. If they try to sell too much, even on your guys' podcast, if someone comes on and tries to sell, or any of my clients, I do edit out parts. I mean, sometimes it's like, sometimes it's fine, but sometimes it's like, good Lord, please chill out.
Right, because we really want you to be telling on our podcast about what it's like to be a naturopath, a natural health provider, not I'm selling this ointment.
Right, exactly, exactly. So what do you like to hear in a podcast interview? And what don't you like to hear?
Right, so I want to hear kind of like your Employee to Boss, like what made you become a naturopath. I want to hear that story of ramping up. You know, I was sick as a child and I went to a naturopath and they helped me. And when I say naturopath, I mean natural non-invasive therapist. We believe that naturopathy is non-invasive natural health, not where you're prescribing, doing injections, working for big pharma. So those are the important thing. So we like to hear how you became a naturopath, why you chose this point, and then we start asking questions about their services or how they run their office, or we get into the story part.
Not even their services. I think you guys are telling the story of like the big picture of like, yes, they might okay, for example, like, yes, I produce podcasts, but I think what I tell the story on a podcast, like when I'm a guest on podcast, is like how you can host a good podcast or how you can have a podcast that works for you, right? So when you're interviewing these people, you're not wanting to hear about like the service they provide, but more of like the result that they give or
Right.
like why that matters. Like putting them in a thought leadership position. I think I have another client that she interviews a lot of CEOs, and instead of, I'm trying to get her to switch this. They'll interview like a binocular company because the person loves the outdoors and wants to get people more interested in the outdoors and seeing nature and blah blah blah. This has a point, I swear.
Okay.
And I was talking to her, and she was like, so I'm going to talk to them about the binoculars and how it works and why they use this, you know, material to make it and why they use that. And I was like, people don't care about the material that they made the binoculars with. People care about why we have lost connection with the outdoors and how his binoculars are one way to reconnect. Okay, so same with you. Like, it's not why that product is the product. It's more of what's the real problem that they're trying to solve.
Right. Right. And I think we had that 2 or 3 months ago where the guest that we had was saying people don't go outside anymore. Children don't go outside and play. That they need sunlight. And she was driving her point home about why her avenue of naturopathy or natural health, it would be more natural health, was so needed and why she was working in it.
Yeah. And that's good storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, that's the stories you want to hear. Mm-hmm. Did you, when you, because I kind of made you guys start this podcast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was some kicking and screaming, but we got it launched, and so funny. But I'm wondering, when you started hosting the podcast, if you started listening to podcasts differently.
I did.
Did it kind of ruin podcasting for you, or did it make you like it more?
Podcasting to me is inspiring, and it inspires me to change things how we first started. I mean, we still read a script.
That's okay.
Because we're really bad about not staying on script.
That's okay.
But one of the challenges that I have had as a podcaster is finding, like I said, the right guest, but also these people aren't podcast hosts or podcast. These people are not podcast guests
or just
normally.
like speakers in
Right,
general.
right. They're just everyday members, and so they're worried about the questions.
Yeah.
What are you going to ask me? So in the beginning, I was giving them the questions.
Yeah.
And they were shortened, and they weren't the fluff when you say it, and we would just say, hey, welcome to the show. And they would just go off and answer all the questions in the first 10 minutes. And you try to interject.
They'd be like, so you're going to get to this later, but blah, blah, blah. And then, I know we'll talk about this later, but here's the answer. And you're like,
right.
I was going to ask that.
Right, right. Well, we were going to go on that. Can you tell us? And then we'll go a little bit more in depth. And that's where I just cringed. So you, as our podcast manager,
Yes.
instructed us on how to handle that. You said to just give them short topics that we'll be discussing, not the actual questions.
Yeah.
And then they still kind of take off on their own agenda. So I think that's my biggest problem as a host is, and I don't know if the word control is correct, but how to control the interview.
I think control is, or just give it like guardrails or like.
Right, or direct it.
Yeah. I think it's hard when a podcast host doesn't listen to other podcasts, even if it is good hangs or like any podcast. Well, actually, not any podcast, because some podcasts, I don't know if you know this, you probably do, are purely created for social media clips.
Right, right.
So like Call Her Daddy,
Right.
The clips are great. They go viral. But people always talk now about how if you listen to the podcast, it's actually not that good because it's made for clips. I think she's entertaining. She's good guests. Like, I don't listen often. So I'm not saying every podcast is a good example of this, but as a podcast host, you should listen to other podcasts just so you know how an interview should be run, or so you can listen and be like, wow, that was a really unfulfilling hour of my life that I just, I will never come back to the show, versus one that you can go back to and want to go listen to.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Those are good points.
that's your homework. Go listen to an episode of something. Well, I guess they're already listening to this, so
Yeah. Hopefully
make it to the end.
Make it to the end. Hopefully you're entertained.
Yes. Yes.
The other thing that we like to do on our episodes, and it was from your advice, is to keep them short.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe someone's on the treadmill or the stationary bike
Yeah.
or taking a walk around the block. Make it short so they can start and finish this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes me a week to finish somebody's
Yeah.
because I don't have enough time. So I listen 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I listened to one Huberman Lab episode. Do you know what that podcast is?
Mm-mm.
It's this doctor who does 3-hour episodes every week. Deep diving with a podcast guest. Like, it is, I've only listened to one episode in full because it was David Goggins. He scares me, but also motivates me. And it took me like 4 days to listen to it. Mm-hmm. So I think, then this was a question that came up at Podcasters Northwest. Someone asked how long an episode should be, because some should be long, some should be short, but I think going into it with intention. And for you guys only doing one a month, like, you could do longer, but also you guys wouldn't enjoy that.
Right, right.
You guys like a quick hit episode where then, and it back to the point of people can come and meet the guest at the events.
Right.
Is like, if they have follow-up questions, they can go ask them in person.
Right.
So it was partially like what you guys like too.
Right. We know of a person that's been a guest on our podcast that does a daily 3-hour, they call it a talk show. Yeah. They don't call it a podcast. It's a talk show. Mm-hmm. And you have to go to their website to listen to it.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think they talk about for 3 hours?
The news.
Oh.
Like what's going on in the news and...
Got it.
Yeah. And then they bring people on that share their stories.
Yeah, that always makes it easier, for sure. Okay, because whenever I have guests on the show, like even you today, we're like, what are the questions? Please tell me all the questions. I don't always come up with questions before I sit down with someone.
That's good.
I usually listen to...
You're a pro.
Well, yeah, I guess that, like, I have been doing this for a while, but it just, I think, comes off more naturally. And if someone's to work with me after they listen to an episode and my episode is super polished, like, or just like very structured, it is always polished, but not structured. And then they work with me and they're like, she sounds nothing like her podcast. It's going to be weird, a weird experience for them. So I do like to make it sound like me. So that's why I just go in and ask questions. But sometimes people really struggle with that. A lot of podcasts will do like pre-calls with their guests. I don't have time for that.
And that kind of ruins the surprise of it or the naturalness of it.
I will say, for Podcasters Northwest, I met with Carla Marie and Anthony beforehand, and we went through the questions. But they didn't... Because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't, like, throwing them a curveball or anything. I did at the end, but I wanted to.
Yeah, right. Keep them on their toes.
But I think if it's edited, you have time to be able to go back and, like, make it sound polished. If it's live, then I think that is different, where, like, you might want to have a pre-call with people, because if I just got up on stage and was like, so, blah, 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 like, I like going into it with a theme.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think there's no one way to do it.
And that's how we schedule it with our guests, saying, this is our theme, this is where our focus will be, and these are the potential questions or topics that we'll be asking you.
What is the most surprising thing or, like, most interesting thing that happened since you guys started the podcast? I know the story of, like, picking up the phone and someone knew who you were.
Right.
Which I think is cool.
Well, sometimes we have people that do XYZ in their practice. And we don't know what the XYZ is. And we think, well, we're going to have to do a lot of discovery on this call and this podcast, and I hope by the end and sometimes I think, oh gosh, this one's going to be boring. And then it's like, wow, this is really informative, and this is really good, and this is a great...
you guys have a lot of members, so
Right.
you don't know everyone.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
And we do, research before we invite them on, and some people call us and say we want to be on, and we're like,
Only the best for
yes,
protecting
they don't meet our
naturopathy.
quality. They don't meet our quality of guests.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So is there anything else you want to share about podcasting before we get into my rapid fire questions?
Oh no, you scare me. It has been an amazing adventure, and you make it so easy that it just has become natural now. Before it was like you said, we were kicking and screaming, we don't want to do this, and we don't have time for this. That was the big thing. We didn't have time. But by turning it over to you, we have time.
I always say that for my clients, all they have to do is sit down, press record, and send it to me, and I do the rest. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it's true, but you guys are not going to learn how to edit.
No.
And I think that's one thing that people worry about before working with me is do I need to know how to do these things before hiring someone? And truly, no. I mean, no.
We hold up our microphone to make sure that it's okay to let Haley look at it to make sure that it's set up right.
Yeah. I'm move it back.
Yeah.
Get it closer.
Right.
I don't know, but yes, truly. So I always tell people that, and I feel like they don't always believe me, but you post the social media clips.
Right. You provide us the clips, and we post them, and they get really good responses.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, so I never remember my rapid fire questions, and I always have to read them.
Okay.
And normally I can do it more discreetly because
we're not in person.
Well,
but when you have your next live interview,
let's
from the sofa of Haley with Captain with the ball.
The trio.
Yeah.
So my first rapid fire question for you is, what is your favorite podcast streaming platform? You listen on Apple Podcasts, right?
Apple Podcasts is probably the easiest one that I have found.
Would you ever watch a podcast on YouTube?
See, when I listen to podcasts, I'm doing other things.
Yeah.
So putting on YouTube sounds like a step that I don't have time for. But if they're going to show me how to do something on this podcast, yes, I would probably do that, but generally no.
But that's more like a tutorial.
Right, and sometimes
Mom can fix anything with YouTube Academy. Is that what you call it?
Sure.
YouTube 101.
Yeah.
She can do anything. She's limitless.
Too kind to you for you to say.
But I don't think you're the only time I watch podcasts is if I'm folding my laundry or doing a closet clean out type of thing, and then I'll watch a podcast on YouTube, but I'm not sitting there watching it.
Right. Well, I watch the YouTube step by step when I'm doing something.
Right.
Rewind.
Right.
I guess it's back. Go back 30 but not sitting in front of a YouTube to watch a podcast is my ideal. I watched Smartless once because I heard the actors' voices and I couldn't put their faces. So I went and watched theirs once.
Wait, did you know that podcasts are now going to be available on Netflix?
No.
Yes.
Through YouTube?
No, on Netflix.
Audio?
Video podcasts on Netflix. And video podcasts are now available on
Amazon.
Apple Podcast.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Because it was only on Spotify before.
Interesting.
So someone's going to be able to pull up Netflix on their TV and watch a podcast. The other interesting thing, and I'll have to show you later, is on TV, there is a station that only plays one podcast, and it's a gardening podcast. I posted it on my Instagram, and someone said that you can, like, buy a channel for, like, $600 a month and just put content on it. And so this...
Is it local or it's
No,
cable?
it's, like, this very popular gardening Instagram that has a channel that only plays our podcast. Okay. So, as a podcast listener, do you have any pet peeves?
There's this one podcast that I listen to, and the person has a horrible laugh.
Oh.
And they breathe into the microphone.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that would be my pet peeve. So I
Do you still listen or no?
It's a good podcast, but yeah.
Yeah.
I do the fast forward.
Yeah. There's one podcast I listen to that she talks to her dog a lot, which I know I'm doing, but like I'm going to edit most of this out. There might be a few moments in here where I'm talking to Captain, but she talks to her dog a lot. And I kind of think it's cute because I'm a dog person, but I'm also like, people are not going to like this. It's not for everyone. So we kind of talked about this, but I always ask. And also, as you know from listening to my podcast, as my number one fan, my rapid fires are never very rapid.
Okay.
Okay. So what is your favorite podcast that you would recommend? Besides your own and besides mine, of course.
Well, I was going to recommend yours.
Mm-hmm.
You need to help me.
Well, do you have a favorite episode that you've listened to from Employee to Boss?
Well, I really enjoyed when you... No, it was on...
Podcast Cafe?
It was on Podcast Cafe when you interviewed a previous professor from UNLV.
Oh, yeah,
That
Dave.
one was fun. Dave was a fun one. His energy was amazing.
He's fun.
And he saw value that he instilled in you many years ago, and he's seeing the product of it today.
Yeah.
And that was really neat. He was your previous professor at UNLV, and you recently reconnected with him because he's starting a podcast. And again,
No, they have a podcast class.
I'm sorry, a podcast class, yes.
That I went and talked in.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that was very fun. So
Right.
that was a fun episode.
Yeah, that was a fun episode.
I like that. You remember the one I did on Employee to Boss of the woman who just listens to people?
Yes.
Like, doesn't give advice, doesn't do it. She just listens. She's still in business, and I love that for her. What is one thing you wish more people knew about podcasting?
What do I wish that people knew more about podcasting? It's not as hard as you think. It's not as hard as you think, and there's value in it, but you have to have a purpose. You have to have a point, and you need to stay on track. Don't go off rambling on a tangent.
Yeah.
You lose your listeners. Sound quality is really big, and content.
Yeah.
So
that's funny you say that, because I have people on here and they say it's harder than you think, or it takes more time than you think. And I think you don't think that, because I do it all.
Probably. Well, what takes so long is finding the guest and writing the questions and the script and all of that.
I don't think it's that hard.
I thought it would be much harder.
Yeah.
Is why I'm saying that's what.
No, I think that's a good take on it,
because you do everything for us.
Yeah. I tell you about all my clients. You actually met a few of them at Podcasters Northwest. What do you think about that? Did you ever think I'd be a business owner?
No. Well, yes. First of all, your event was amazing. I mean, it was organized. People showed up. They were all excited to be there. And when you were younger, you were a starter of projects and the leader in them. There used to be the cooking show.
H&H cooking show.
H&H cooking show, and it had a theme song. And
yes, that's funny.
So Haley was the director of that, and you grew up around entrepreneurs. Your grandparents, they started their business 45 years ago, and you grew up around it. And you saw what it was like to run your own business and be your own boss. And you went with it. And I'm just so proud of you.
Thanks, Mom.
So proud of you. Never realized that you would go so far with it.
Me either.
Especially in such a big city.
Yeah. So my last question for you. is what is the most surprising, and this is what I surprised Carla Marie and Anthony with yesterday,
Oh, no.
is what is the most surprising thing that podcasting has taught you about yourself?
I used to be a shy person when I was growing up. And then when I had children and became more involved in the world and working, I'll talk to anyone.
Yes.
I'll talk to anyone at the grocery store, at the red light. I'll talk to anyone about whatever. And we usually walk away with a smile. So talking to the people was not a challenge, but it was, now I'm more focused, and it's not just a 2-second talk. It's now a 20 to 30 minute conversation. And that was a little challenging because I think things should be light and uplifting. And so that was trying to keep.
And some of the people on your podcast tell you some things.
Right. Right. Some people had some horrible situations happen to them. So taking a serious situation to something that you need to find as entertainment was the challenge that I had to look within myself on how to do that transition. So
that's a good answer. Do you like telling people you have a podcast?
Yes. When I was at your event this week, people asked if I had a podcast, and I would say proudly that I have a podcast that's managed by my daughter, and we've had it for 3 years, which I think is a lot. So,
it is a lot.
Yeah.
Most podcasts don't make it past episode 3.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, Mom, thank you for being a guest on my show. I made you start a podcast. Now I made you be a guest on mine. So, I'm out of things to make you do, I guess.
Okay.
Amazing. You did it all.
Okay. Well, I've got a list for you. Thank you for having me on your show. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for joining me in the Podcast Cafe. I hope you're leaving with fresh ideas and inspiration to take your podcast to the next level. Remember, podcasting is a journey and you don't have to do it alone. I'm here to help you every step of the way. Let's connect. Be sure you follow me on Instagram at Espresso Podcast Production or visit espressopodcastproduction.com for more tips, resources, and behind-the-scenes insights. I'd love to hear about your podcasting journey. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling extra generous, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps more podcasters just like you find the show. Until next time, grab your coffee, keep creating, and I'll see you back here in the Podcast Cafe.